Hello again, I am Blunty, and before we get started today, there is a very important message I've been asked to pass along to you guys. Preston Gravy called. He said, there's a settlement that needs your help, or some farmers, or that there's a dog somewhere who can't find a tree to peel. I don't know what he wants, but he always wants something. So just call him back already, will you? Because I'm tired of dealing with him. Now, for a few days, I've seen scattered headlines and social media posts quoting Amazon's upcoming Fallout TV series executive producer, Jonathan Nolan, calling the show almost like we're Fallout 5. I largely ignored it as a chunk of headline bait and promo soundbite that it was obviously designed to be, a meaningless thing said by someone surrounded all day every day by people who talk more about marketing than actual creativity. I don't care, really. But then this morning, I saw Fallout was trending again, mostly because of the marketing for the show, ramping up of course, and Xbox and Bethesda have just announced a new branded Xbox controller, which looks kind of okay, I guess. It's not bad. I would have preferred one that had sort of a Pip-Boy aesthetic going on to it, sort of grimy and grungy and stuff, and retro tech and, Fallout-y, but I guess just slapping some Vault Boys on there is fine as well. So anyway, I was scrolling around and I saw another excerpt from the same interview Nolan's Fallout 5 quote came from, and I got... Sorry, I didn't realize this avatar had props. I've got a... Anyone want a can of... possibly beans? Wait, that wasn't a prop. I picked it up from the world here somewhere. I'm sorry, where was I? Right, I saw another quote from the same interview and I got real worried we might be in for another Halo moment as far as big budget TV shows adapted from video games go. We all agree that the Halo show sucked a tremendous amount of fetid buffalo bum, right? I mean, how it got a second season, I will never understand, because I didn't hear one person say one nice thing about the damn show. So I'm assuming I don't need to burn up several minutes of this video explaining why it was crap, right? We only need to acknowledge that the producers thought they knew better, and they could ignore huge amounts of what the game's established, and they thought the names Halo and Master Chief were enough to get people watching and enjoying it, without really considering why people liked the series in the first place, beyond the gameplay. Gee whiz, should we pay attention to the narrative notes that people connected to throughout that series, or should we just ignore that all and do our own thing because we're that arrogant? Sorry, I said I wasn't going to go on Halo, but it is relevant to this discussion, so I'll allow it, of myself, I suppose, which means I won't edit it out. So, Nolan, about the Fallout TV series, said, "There's so much storytelling in the Batman universe that there is no canonical version of it, so you're free to invent your own. Each of the Fallout games is a discrete story. It's almost like we're Fallout 5. If you're wondering where the Batman stuff comes from, Nolan, of course, wrote the screenplay for The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. And he's wrong, of course. Really, really wrong. While the Batman canon, such it is as it is, has been adjusted and changed and rebooted and adapted many, 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 many times over the different mediums and years, and even within the comics alone, as DC Comics have universe-altering events repeatedly, every few years, basically, really, to try and keep readers engaged. They just shuffle things up. Hey, here's a new jumping-on point for new readers. We've rebooted the universe. You can jump on now and not worry about the old lore, because it might not matter. It's a marketing thing. But Fallout has not had that 8.5-decade-long adventure that Batman has had. There is absolutely a Fallout canon. And as far as I understand it, and I'm not an expert on Fallout canon, Fallout 1, Fallout 2, and Fallout New Vegas all follow a very specific canonical continuum. Fallout 4, the first Fallout game I played to completion at least, and I'm currently eagerly awaiting the so-called next-gen update, which will probably coincide with the TV series launching for cross-promotional purposes, because I want an excuse to do another playthrough of that game. But Fallout 4 had a few things some may consider retcons or changes to the canon, like, for example, cats, like kitty cats, which were implied in previous games to just be extinct. But in the Commonwealth, the location that Fallout 4 takes place in, cats are alive and well, actually, and even remain kept as pets in some instances. There's a few more examples of different severities depending on your opinion on such things, and I'll try and find a wiki article to link them in the down below for you there if you're curious about it. The point is some stuff has changed in the Fallout games when it comes to lore, especially after Bethesda took the reins. But it is still all treated as a large, one singular universe, one reality, one continuity, one timeline, even if some retconning has taken place. And some inconsistencies are headcanoned by some fans as being from, say, unreliable narrators, for example. Vault-Tec, for example, is hardly a pure and honest organization you can take at their word, every single word they say. Governmental corruption was rife pre-war, so who knows how trustworthy any of those records are. And a lot of data was, of course, destroyed in the cataclysmic end of the war, where everything just blew up, and we got the Fallout world. And of course, the destruction of basically all infrastructure has inherently led to isolated regions and isolated populations. Each have their own unique events and interpretations and mutations and records, and different kinds of local life may have emerged and sort of evolved differently. But the point I'm driving at here is there's plenty of wiggle room in an honest way that doesn't just burn down established law for the sake of changing something or adding something and present new things that we didn't know about before, or even contradict what we thought we knew. And if you're about to go on a little rant, a little spiel about how canon doesn't matter, it's all made up anyway, so long as the story is good, it's fine, there are in fact some very solid, reasonable reasons why some people do get really upset when you balk up established canon on properties they love. I made a video about one of those reasons in one example of Star Trek, and I'll link it in the down below if you're curious. But don't just write off people who get upset about this stuff as being silly, because it's a little more complex than that. But with what we've seen visually of the Fallout TV series so far, in the trailers and promotional photos and whatnot, the show looks right. I mean, why spend that much attention to detail on the visuals? The power armor looks basically perfect. The vehicles look amazing. The costumes, the props, the general art design, the presentation, the feel of the world. Only to say, well, there's no real canon, so we'll just invent our own like we did with Batman. Who's gonna care? Don't you know who I am? I'm Nolan. I'm the Batman guy. Each of the games is a discrete story. Different city. Distinct protagonist within the same mythology. Our series sits in relation to the games as the games sit in relation to each other. It's almost like we're Fallout 5. I don't want to sound presumptuous, too late, but it's just a non-interactive version of it, right? No, Nolan, not right. Not even close to right. A TV series is not just a non-interactive version of an RPG game. Would you like to understand why, Nolan? Well, it's because everyone gets the same experience from a TV show. The same journey is presented. Everyone has the exact same lead character on screen, making the same choices, with the same capabilities and the same equipment, and following the same path, and meeting the same people in the same order, and going to the same places. Do you know what doesn't happen in RPGs like Fallout? Every single player having the exact same experience of the world and the story and the events, discovering the same information in the same order, solving the same things the same way. That's kind of the point of an RPG. To not do that. Has Nolan ever even seen someone play Fallout or any RPG? He clearly has never once picked up an RPG of any type before himself. What a dopey thing to say. What a stupid, ignorant thing to say. What, TV series is just like a non-interactive RPG, isn't it? Is Nolan an actual idiot? Has he had some accident which has damaged his brain? I don't know. It's possible. Does Nolan have an acquired brain injury? Was he just born stupid? Or has working in Hollywood just made him that ignorant? Who can say for sure? I'm just asking questions. He is right, though, when he says the world of Fallout has many kinds of stories to be told within the structure of the world. He is absolutely right when he says that. But so does every other single fictional world ever built. That's hardly some magical friggin' insight from a creative genius. That's just how stories work. Fallout, in my career, is closest to the work we did in adapting Batman, where there's so much storytelling in the Batman universe that there is no canonical version of it, so you're free to invent your own. Like I said on my Twitter post, Nolan, you overrated Pillock. Fallout has a lot of canonical lore. There are bloated wikis and multi-hour-long video essays on this subject alone. And if you've invented your own, the Fallout fans will reject it, especially if you're arrogant enough to call the TV show basically Fallout 5. I don't know, man. My most generous take on this is Nolan is just spouting off a bunch of petty, meaningless crap, because when you break it down, that's all it is. I think he's just spent far too much time pitching stuff to rooms full of grey-faced studio executives and has forgotten how to talk about stuff like a real person. He's just gibbering away in pitch mode, spouting off just canned lines about a vision. But it does absolutely feel like a very concerning red flag when he compares Fallout's comparatively singular and consistent canon over 6 core games, 5 if you don't count Fallout 76's oddities when it comes to the timeline, but let's say 6, and comparing that to 84 years of multiple Batman comic reboots and TV and movies and radio plays and all of that. It's not the same thing at all. Stupidity, ignorance at best, and arrogance like this is how we get such massive disappointments and catastrophic failures such as Halo on TV. And it is why so many other attempts, almost every other attempt, let's be fair, to take established IP from gaming and make it into a movie or a TV series fail so completely, so wholly, so disastrously. I'll also link the Wikipedia article of film-adapted games for you. I haven't looked at it in a while, but I do remember it includes the critical ratings from Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic, I think, as well. And would you like to guess the average rating of a video game film? If you said low, you're in the right ballpark. Low, low, low. They're low. And would you like to guess the same mistake almost all of them have made? Come on, guess. Just guess. No, Nolan, your TV show set in the Fallout aesthetic is not basically Fallout 5, and it never can be. I, for one, of course, hope the show is amazing. I hope it's glorious. I hope it's one of the best things ever put on screen. Why would I want it to suck? I really like Fallout. I want more good Fallout stuff, Bethesda. And it could be amazing. It is a glorious, wonderful world to build stories in. It's really cool. Arcane was based on a video game series too, and it is one of the most astonishingly brilliant and stunningly wonderful things I have ever watched on a screen. And I mean that regardless, but absolutely certainly in the context of something from video game roots. Arcane is proper art, for crying out loud. And while I personally think Nolan is overrated as a screenwriter, his Batman stuff is a long way from my favorite Batman stuff. I know a lot of people really like those movies, but I've been reading Batman stuff for like 3 decades, and like I could name 12 animated films which are better in every way than his 2 live action films. Maybe I'll make a video about that, I don't know. Inception, he did Inception as well. Interstellar, they were both pretentious tediums of someone obviously trying to write too smart for his own capabilities. You could tell he was trying so hard to make a really smart, mind-blowing thing, and it just fell apart. If you are actually halfway intelligent, they're stupid. How about Man of Steel? He did some screenwriting of Man of Steel as well. Don't get me started on how badly that misunderstood its core character. That wasn't like any Superman I've ever met in any medium, and I did not like him. Henry Cavill's innate charm and charisma aside, that version of Clark Kent, that version of Kal-El, that version of Superman, I barely recognized him. But hey, maybe this time Nolan has the right people leaning over his shoulder and won't disappear up his own arsehole quite as much. But then again, one of his co-writers just happens to be Lisa Joy, who worked extensively on Westworld, the TV king of overstretching a premise and vanishing up its own pretentious arsehole until it was bled dry of any artistic integrity if it ever had some to begin with. But man, honestly, For all my whining and bitching, I really, really want the Fallout TV series to be good. I want it to be amazing. Please let it be amazing against all odds. Because I do love the world of Fallout, the established world of Fallout, with all the history and lore intact. So it creates a lovely continuity with itself. We'll see, I guess. Not much more than a month away to wait now. Thank you as always to the patrons scrolling up above there, and I will catch you next time.